Hello to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. It's time to track the tropics. We rolled through the first month of hurricane season, and now we're into month 2 of the Atlantic Basin hurricane season. And it's a holiday weekend. Hopefully you had a great 4th of July. As we sail through the rest of the weekend, I'll let you know where there could be some problems in the tropics. We actually have a newly formed tropical storm. The name is Chantal, and it is getting closer to the Carolina coast. You can see all of that rain building just offshore of Charleston, Wilmington, and the conditions will be deteriorating up and down the Georgia coastline and the Carolina coastline over the next 24 to 36 hours. You can see this high surf advisory for the Charleston, South Carolina area. There's also a very high risk for those life-threatening rip currents as well. So we've got high rip current risk, high surf advisory, and we do have tropical storm watches and warnings up and down the Carolina coast. You can also see some of those outer rain bands from this newly formed tropical storm already starting to lash parts of the Georgia and Carolina coast, and really even into northeast Florida. Jacksonville getting in on some of that rain, Savannah, Charleston, up towards Wilmington, and this will only get worse likely over the next 24 to 36 hours. Here's where we do have the tropical storm alerts, tropical storm watches and warnings. Charleston, South Carolina right now under a tropical storm watch. That means conditions are favorable for maybe some tropical storm conditions, but a warning has not been issued there yet. Conditions are going to be a lot more favorable for those tropical storm conditions where we do have that tropical storm warning now in place for Myrtle Beach and points a little bit to the north. So this is where we're expecting the worst of those conditions. So of course, Myrtle Beach, a very popular destination for the holiday weekend, a lot of nice beaches there, and a lot of people flock there during this time of the year. So of course, this is going to cause some interruptions and some delays. We're talking about the threat for 2 to 5 inches of rain, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, some strong to severe storms, maybe a couple of brief tornadoes, and of course the choppy waters out there, that rip current risk and the increased surf. What is Chantal doing right now? Well, it is expected to get a little bit stronger than initially forecast. In fact, right now it's up to 45 mile per hour winds as of the latest 4 p.m. advisory, and it is moving a little bit quicker to the north, around 7 miles per hour. So overnight, Tropical Storm Chantal will approach the Carolina coast, and I think early Sunday morning, right around 1 a.m., it likely starts to push on shore with 50 mile per hour winds. So that's still on the weaker side as far as tropical storm conditions are concerned, but it is still a tropical storm, and so you will need to be cautious if you're going to be around this area. It will continue to push to the northwest as we go through the day on Sunday, and by Sunday afternoon already back down to just a remnant low, and it is going to quickly weaken. So we do have the potential for some heavy rainfall here, but this is not going to be a really strong system, and it is going to be short-lived. So notice in between Raleigh and Charlotte by Sunday night, Monday morning, it still continues to weaken, but that center of circulation as it winds down will likely still dump some heavy rain and could produce a few strong to severe storms and some gusty winds. So we'll have to monitor it closely. As far as our Fox weather tropical model, it shows this system very well. You can see that circulation approaching the Carolina coast, anywhere from Charleston to Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, early Sunday morning, 5-6 a.m. Those rain bands will be dumping some heavy rainfall, and we could have a few strong to severe storms as well. So rain, wind, and messy conditions at the beach likely over the next day to day and a half. By Sunday evening, you can see some of the heaviest rain getting closer to the Charlotte area. So even farther inland, there will be some impacts from whatever is left of this tropical system by then. Monday, it should be falling apart, losing those tropical characteristics, of course, but still dumping some heavy rain, and we will have to monitor that flood risk that will stick around right along the Carolina coast and mid-Atlantic over the next few days. In fact, through Monday, this particular model showing anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain likely, with the bullseye being right around the Myrtle Beach area and even over into parts of the inland sections of North Carolina, there could be some heavy downpours as well. So even over into Charlotte, there will likely be some downpours from this system. At least the heaviest rain should stay just offshore. Notice that 7-inch rain potential right offshore, but there could still be some flooding issues up and down the Carolina coast. So that is the only tropical system that we have in the Atlantic basin right now. However, we are still expecting an above average season. Here is another look at that Colorado State University forecast. Still calling for 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 of those becoming major hurricanes, category 3, 4, 5 for the rest of the season. Average season would typically bring us 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and about 3 major hurricanes. So bottom line, we have not had an extremely busy season so far. So far, the first 2 systems did not impact the U.S., but it looks like this third system, Tropical Storm Chantal, will. Tropical Storm Andrea was our first tropical storm of the season. It was weak and short-lived, and it kind of hung out over the central Atlantic and then moved even farther away from the U.S. Then we had Tropical Storm Barry. It was unorganized and short-lived as well, but it brought some pretty significant flooding to parts of southeastern Mexico. Now we're dealing with Tropical Storm Chantal, and that will likely make landfall along the Carolina coast overnight. So we've had our first 3 systems of this hurricane season. So next on the list will be Dexter, and then Aaron, and then Fernan. So hopefully we won't have those anytime soon, but of course we're going to keep a close eye on what's happening out there in the tropics. Right now, we still have a lot of Saharan dust that continues to get pushed and dispersed off the west coast of Africa. It traveled all across the Atlantic, and it looks like we're going to get a pretty big burst of some thick Saharan dust for the Houston area as we go into Thursday. So later in the week, next week, make sure that you are prepared for some hazy conditions with that thick dust rolling in. Otherwise, not really seeing anything tropical, at least, that's going to impact Texas. But for the rest of this month, typical formation zones for hurricanes would be just offshore of the southeastern U.S., where we have the action going on right now with Chantal, and northwestern portions of the Gulf. So we could certainly be impacted during the month of July, similar to last year where we were hit by Hurricane Beryl, which hit Houston as a Category 1 hurricane. As we jump into later parts of the hurricane season, as far as August, of course, the threat for hurricanes in the western Atlantic really starts to increase, and even into the Gulf, that chance really becomes more widespread and a bit higher. Of course, the peak of hurricane season is September, so that is usually when we start to get multiple tropical systems that we're tracking with the highest threat right there in the purple. That's going to be the most likely risk for September. That would include a big part of the western Atlantic, even into the central Atlantic. Chances are increasing. And check out the Gulf. We've got the orange, which is a more likely chance for hurricanes, starting to increase as well. So just because we haven't had anything to impact the Houston area just yet, we're not out of the woods. We've still got a long ways to go. Of course, hurricane season really just getting going. Started at the beginning of June. We've made it to the beginning of July. We've got to get through the rest of this month, August, September, which is the peak, and then all of October and November before we could say all clear. So it might be quiet now, but make sure that you are staying alert and that you keep checking back. Of course, if there's any tropical trouble you need to know about, we do these updates daily and you will be the first to know. All right, enjoy the rest of your 4th of July holiday weekend. Stay safe. Once again, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade.